Sean Payton is gearing up to make another big impact in the NFL draft because that's just what he does. In this video, we're diving into a report that highlights just how impressive Payton has been when it comes to draft success. And when you pair him with George Payton, things are about to get real interesting in Denver. There's also exciting news about quarterbacks climbing the draft board, which could push even more elite talent into Denver's lap. If the Broncos decide to go defense in this draft, who could they target? We've got some rumors and speculation to cover, along with a breakdown of Denver's draft strategy. So let's get into it. A report recently caught attention online, and it's a strong reminder of Sean Payton's track record. Since arriving in Denver, he's made all the right moves, and his draft expertise stretches back to his New Orleans days. One draft that still stands out, the Saints' legendary 2017 class. Take a look at the names from that year. Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, recently retired, Marcus Williams, Alvin Kamara, an absolute steal, Alex Anzalone, who's still a key player for the Lions. That class had impact players across the board. What makes this even more exciting? Payton has drawn comparisons between that 2017 class and last year's Broncos rookie group, and it's easy to see why. Denver had 5 rookies step up with meaningful contributions. Bo Nix is getting most of the attention, and there's a ton of hype surrounding wide receiver Troy Franklin. Devin Vale made an immediate impression with 8 targets in his first game as a rookie, but it doesn't stop there. Take Chris Abrams-Draine, for example. He wasn't the most talked about player, but he made a big-time play against Justin Herbert, stepping in due to Riley Moss's injury and grabbing a critical interception right before halftime. At the time, Herbert hadn't thrown a pick in quite a while, and Abrams-Draine showed real poise in that moment. While he didn't see much regular season action due to Moss's rise, his preseason flashes were promising. If Abrams-Draine continues developing alongside Moss and Patrick Surtain II, Denver's secondary could become one of the league's best for years to come. Another name to keep an eye on? Jonah Elliss. There's been a lot of buzz around defensive prospects like the edge rusher taken by the Rams, but Jonah Elliss is drawing comparisons already. And with Payton at the helm, don't be surprised if the Broncos make another splash pick on that side of the ball. Last season, even while splitting snaps with Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonitto and occasionally Baron Browning, Jonah Elliss still managed to shine. His performance earned him a spot on the Pro Football Writers Association All-Rookie team, which speaks volumes about his impact. When you step back and compare the Broncos' most recent draft class to the legendary 2017 Saints class under Sean Payton, the similarities are encouraging. That's a great sign for Denver's future. And here's something even more exciting. George Payton recently shared that he feels more confident and better prepared for this year's draft than he has in any previous year since becoming the Broncos' GM. If Denver crushed last year's draft, there's real reason to believe they could take it up another level this time around. Now, there's been a lot of buzz around whether the Broncos will use their first pick on a running back. It's a hot debate, but at the end of the day, if Sean Payton falls in love with a player, history shows he's going to go get him. Some fans have floated the idea of trading back and targeting a player like Tre'Veyon Henderson. He's been compared to a Jahmyr Gibbs type back, dynamic, explosive, and a potential fit in Payton's offensive system. But according to a report by Nick Kendall, waiting might be risky. There's a chance Henderson could be gone before Denver picks again. It's the same situation the Broncos faced with Bo Nix. A lot of people questioned the pick at the time, saying Denver could have traded back to around pick 20 and still landed him. But realistically, Bo Nix might not have made it past a team like the Raiders. So while it may have looked like a reach on paper, Payton stuck to his conviction, and it's paying off. This brings us back to Henderson. If Payton believes he's a difference maker, a Pro Bowl caliber talent who can elevate this team, then waiting isn't the move. Take him when you can. Benjamin Albright recently made an interesting comparison. He brought up the famous draft that featured both Marshawn Lynch and Adrian Peterson. In this analogy, Tre'Veyon Henderson could be likened to a Marshawn Lynch type, solid, physical, productive, while someone like Ashton Jeanty represents the Adrian Peterson mold, flashier, more explosive, maybe the bigger name. The question is, would you rather give up significant draft capital to chase a star like Jeanty or stay put and grab a player like Henderson, who could still be a franchise-altering back? It's a fair debate. At first glance, most would say Peterson was far superior, but when you actually look at the numbers, the gap isn't as wide as people remember. So maybe the smart move isn't trading away future assets for excitement. It's trusting the process and letting the right talent come to you. One of the smartest moves a team can make is holding on to their draft capital, especially when the front office is confident in its ability to find hidden gems. If the Broncos were to trade up for someone like Ashton Jeanty and it cost both their second and third round picks, they'd be giving up a lot of value in a draft where George Payton has already said he feels the most prepared he's ever been. This is the kind of draft where Payton believes he can find players like Quinn Miners, Jonathan Cooper, and Nick Bonito, undervalued talent who could become major contributors. Taking those picks away from a GM who's in the zone right now, that might not be the move. Benjamin Albright made a good point here. Sometimes patience pays off more than flash. And honestly, it's hard to disagree with that logic. Now, while a lot of focus has been on giving Bo Nix more weapons and using the first round pick on offense, the question still remains, what if the Broncos go defense? Sean Payton's history shows it's not out of the question. In 17 drafts with the Saints, 10 of his first round picks were on the defensive side of the ball, so going defense here wouldn't be out of character. If a top-tier defensive lineman unexpectedly falls to pick 20, it could be hard to pass up. There are mock drafts out there showing names like Walter Nolen slipping to that spot. That pick might not excite everyone, but last season we saw how a dominant defensive front helped carry the Eagles all the way to the Super Bowl. And there's truth to what John Elway once said, keep a strength. The Broncos already have a strong defensive line, but contracts are coming up. Bonito, Zach Allen, and John Franklin Myers will all need new deals in the near future. Adding another elite lineman now could keep that unit strong for years. Sure, it might feel like a bit of a reach, but if Sean Payton and George Payton see potential, their track record shows they know how to draft in the trenches. Looking ahead at how the draft could unfold, there are rumors flying that the Saints might be trying to move into the top 10 for a quarterback. If that happens, and a few others like Shedder Sanders, Jackson Dart, and Jalen Milroe all go early, it could cause a ripple effect. Suddenly, a defensive star might slide down the board, someone no one expected to be available at pick 20. Think back to when Sean Payton landed Mark Ingram in a similar scenario. Sometimes the board just breaks your way. As for Walter Nolen, there's no denying his ability to eat up double teams and stop the run. He's a disruptive presence inside. The knock on him is his pass rush development, but he's only 20. With a little coaching, he could be exactly the kind of long-term force this defense needs. Walter Nolen is just 20 years old, and as he physically matures, his game is expected to improve significantly. His draft profile compares him to Christian Wilkins, which is a strong indicator of his potential. The Broncos will face the Chargers twice a year, and if the Raiders land Ashton Jeanty, stopping the run becomes even more critical. You can never have too much talent on the interior defensive line. Adding depth to the defensive line makes sense, especially in a physical division like the AFC West. The Broncos currently have Malcolm Roach under contract for 2 more years, but Nolen could be a long-term replacement. While he still needs to develop his pass rush techniques, his raw power and youth suggest he could grow into a dominant presence. Another important factor is how the draft board might fall. If quarterbacks like Shedder Sanders, Jackson Dart, or Jalen Milroe go early, it could cause elite defensive players to drop further than expected. That scenario could allow the Broncos to land a top-tier defender, similar to when the Saints were able to grab Mark Ingram after an unexpected slide.